with Devin,
Yeah.
aka Norris the
Norris
Mini,
the
as
Mini.
as many of you might know him. And I see Norris peeking his cute little head out in the back there.
Yeah, he's there. Yeah, all shined up, ready for his big debut here now.
But here's my question. I feel like some of the guests on the show maybe haven't seen. Have you seen the show before or listened to it?
Yeah, I've seen a few episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, my question is like, because I feel like some of them come on and they haven't seen previous ones, but they always have their mini in their background or trying to get a cool background. It's so fun. It's like I don't
Yeah.
tell anybody to do it, but they just know it's has to
Yeah,
be done,
you,
I guess.
you got to be done. Yeah, you got to show it off a little bit more, right?
Great. Again, thank you for being on, man. I'm excited for this one. I've been following you for a while now, and I guess we'll get into Instagram later. But
Yeah.
one of my favorite minis on the Instagram. Great content. Everyone go follow him, Norris the Mini on Instagram and
On
yeah.
TikTok too.
Oh, and TikTok.
And TikTok, yeah, slowly
Okay.
growing there. Yeah.
Okay,
But,
TikTok too. Yeah,
yeah, just shameless plug.
no, absolutely. I know nothing about TikTok. The only TikToks I see are like recycled ones on Instagram stories. So
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah, it's funny. Me and my wife talk about this kind of stuff all the time. It's like I work from home. I never get out, and I use Instagram. Obviously, I like Facebook, but I like don't know anything anymore about like pop culture and like what's cool and like no, it's just like
Yeah,
whatever.
I work in social media and day job, so like it's my whole life nonstop. So I'm always on social media, always on my phone. It feels like so I can't escape it because it's literally my day job.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have to. You have
I
to.
have to.
My sister-in-law is in PR for a pretty popular soda alternative here, like a
Mm.
healthy soda, if you will, called oh man, I'm trying to shout her out and I can't even. It's something pop. I don't know. Dang. I don't know. I don't even know
Yeah,
if it's outside of America. But anyways, but she
yeah,
does that all the time. She's always talking about who they're trying to get on. I'm like, I don't even know who that is. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, I never thought I would be like that, but I just, I guess, I don't know. Life catches up.
yeah, for sure.
Funny, funny. But yeah, let's jump into this, man. I love hearing how you people got into minis. So, how did you get into minis? Have you always wanted a mini? How long have you
Y-
know?
Yeah, so really got into photo and video stuff first, and then like always in the car second kind of a thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, I think like really like most people, Fast Furious, Top Gear kind of really sparked my interest in it. I'm not really mechanically inclined by no means. I like learn on the fly and really learning a lot with over YouTube and other people out there in the mini community with Norris.
Sure.
But I'm not mechanically inclined by no means. But slowly learning. But really, I got into minis. I just always liked British cars, like dream cars, a Jaguar E-Type 60s convertible in green with a brown leather interior. That would be like dream spec. So I always really liked the British feel, but minis just they're small. They're like a go-kart. If they had power, unlike Norris, only has like 30 odd, 40 horsepower. They're fun. They're quirky, and everybody just smiles and knows what a mini is. And I think I just really resonated with that as well. And funny enough, way back when I was still in early high school, I think, or ending junior high or whatever, I posted a picture of a Mini Cooper and literally said like one day I'll probably like I really want to own one, never thinking that was going to be possible. And it popped up in my Facebook memories a couple weeks ago, and I was like, huh, 13, 14 years ago. It's pretty funny. I look back now, and it's like, there you go. There's one there. So Jaguar will be next, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, that would be
Yeah, but
that.
yeah, that's basically how I got into it. I always just liked minis and liked especially the classic mini even more and automotive anyways, but mini just really just drew my attention to the small British car that makes everybody kind of smile when you see it.
Now, in your part, you're in Newfoundland, Canada, correct?
Newfoundland, yeah.
Newfoundland.
Yeah.
Um, and that's like northeast of Canada, correct?
Yeah, kind of just east, really. It's
East.
kind of like on a level playing field now. Our weather is like mixed up because we are an island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, but we are the eastern point of North America, really. So
Mm-hmm.
about 20 minutes from my house is the most eastern point you can get in North America before you hit like England and all that kind of stuff, which is
Uh-huh.
kind of cool.
Is
And we're on the
there
half-hour time difference, which is the really weird thing for
Yeah, we
everybody.
were
Yeah,
talking about that. Yeah, I
yeah,
I I never knew that, and I think I pride myself to try to be decent at geography, and I was looking up. I've talked about this before. It's difficult scheduling with people because they're all over the world and time
yeah.
zone differences and life schedules, and I was like. It was like 4.5 hours. I was like, "Is that right?" And I started looking it up, and I was like, "What the? That's super interesting."
Yeah,
It's like,
four and a half hours. Yeah, it's
yeah,
a
it's
half-hour time difference, but we're a province of like it's Newfoundland and Labrador is the whole province.
uh-huh.
Newfoundland's the island, Labrador is part of Canada's mainland. And
Okay.
actually, the funny joke is that it's 4:30 Newfoundland, but it's 4 o'clock in or 5 o'clock in Labrador. We're a half hour ahead of our own province basically because we're an island, which is really random. So like when the evening news comes on, local news, it's like 5:30 Newfoundland, 6 o'clock in Labrador is what the saying is. Yeah, it's kind of weird, kind of quirky spot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. I like that kind of stuff. It's cool part of like history, I guess, and all that. But is there a lot of classic cars there? A lot of classic minis?
As I know, there's probably about two or three classic minis on the road here. There might be one or two tucked away in someone's garage that I've never seen here before.
Yeah,
But here, there's a big car community here for a small island.
yeah.
But it's a lot of classic muscle cars. American muscle.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How
So,
big is the island in general? Do you reference it to?
population for the whole island. It takes about 12 to 13 hours to drive across it. But the
Okay.
whole population's about 500,000.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so the capital
S-
city here is about, last I checked, probably like 120 to 150,000 people, give
Oh
or take.
wow. So
Oh yeah,
not
it's a big
very
island.
small.
Yeah.
Big island and yeah, big island, but maybe the population isn't as big as I might thought it would be. But
Yeah, no,
interesting.
it's a big island, smallish population, like it's kind of the joke of everybody knows everybody kind of thing.
That's
Very
fun though.
small
That's kind of
networking.
cool.
Yeah, it's a very nice kind of community kind of thing here. But yeah, the car community here for a small spot is pretty strong, but it is very American muscle here for sure. Norris really sticks out.
Yeah, I find that funny, kind of talking to different people of what their car cultures are like. We all get used to what our local car culture is, and obviously growing up in America, it's a ton of American cars. But as I get older and more into the car scene, there's obviously a ton of different cliques. And here in Southern California, you pretty much see whatever. It's like there's the
Yeah,
muscle cars, there's the imports, there's the European. It's crazy, and I kind of get jaded. You know, I see people posting on Instagram like, "Oh, look at this McLaren" or whatever this is. Like, dude, that's like you see one of those a day here. It's
yeah, yeah. Fair
people
enough.
daily drive those.
I used to live in British Columbia, and I found the same thing. I was like, "Oh, there's that. Oh, there's this car, and there's Porsche track days, and there's this and that." I'm like, if I see like a Porsche SUV drive down the road that's 4 or 5 years old here, I'm like, "Oh wow, like a Porsche, cool, like deadly, right?" But up there, there's like literally Porsche days for 911s all the time,
Yeah,
right? I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
well, yeah, it gets a little bit weird where our communities are, but here's a lot of really nice like 60s, 70s muscle cars, which
Huh.
are nice. It's just not my cup of tea, but they are
Yeah.
really nice to see. And when I roll in with that compared to an 18-foot long Cadillac
Yeah.
from the same era, it's a little bit funny, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's same here. I mean, there's clearly a ton of British cars, but the general car meet is there's not a ton.
Yeah.
But that's fun. I like muscle cars and stuff like that, but it's not on the top of the list. Maybe one day when I have all my mini variants and other British cars, maybe I'll dabble. But
Yeah, it's just not my cup of tea. A big boat to drive around. I don't know. With
for
a
some
big,
reason, I'm super attracted to like a Lincoln Continental, like just because it is so
what it
giant. Like,
is. Yeah. For what it is.
yeah,
Yeah. Fair
exactly.
enough.
It's just something about it, like just a huge car. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Have that, and then on the opposite end, have one of those next to it. It'd be just perfect mix. It's
yep.
like depending what you want on that day, I'd want to drive a boat or a dory. You pick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, tell me how you found Norris. Did you find it in your area? Did you kind
Yeah,
of?
so that's part of one of my plans for some content this year is just more about local here and how I found Norris and the local life with him. Basically, I was at home scrolling on Facebook, and then my wife next to me always knew I wanted a classic Mini, and showed me Facebook Marketplace and was like, "There's one here for sale, literally 20-25 minutes away in another community," and I was like, "Is there?" And she was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Can we go look at it?" And she was like, "I mean, I guess because they're really rare to find one in Canada, but really like even on this island, I'd even know there was one or two to be had." So messaged the person right away and said, "I'll come out tomorrow or tonight if you want me to." It was like 9 o'clock at night because I was just
Yeah,
so
yeah.
eager. They're like, "No, tomorrow's fine. I got a few other people interested." I was like, "Okay, like sure." So I went out there the next morning, and took off the morning of work actually, and just went out there right away to see it. And it was, yeah, pretty much the way you see it now is the way it was. Fender flares and stuff I added after because they had the big tires on it already and they were sticking out off the bodywork, so it kind of looked a little bit
Right.
weird and wonky. But and replaced a few other things on it. But yeah, it was pretty much as it was. It was in his garage for 8 to 10 years. He estimates in the back, and he just never started. He bought it for his wife, and she just never drove it. For 8 to 10 years, and they were like, "Oh, we need
Wow.
more storage space, so we'll just get rid of it." And I was like, "This was in your garage for like 8 to 10 years, just tucked away here, and no one even knew." And he was like, "Yeah, I took it out maybe once or twice, and like it ran." And he's like, "The last time it started up was probably 5 years ago, so I don't know if it even starts." And I was like, "Okay, like we'll try it." And one flick of the key and a bit of the choke, and away it went. And I looked at my wife, and she was like, kind of a thing. Like, you gonna want it now. And they were like, "Yeah, we got one other person really interested as well. So I'll let you know like what you want to do." So me and my wife start driving back, and I was like, I don't know where the money's coming from because we were going to go on a trip like in 3 weeks' time and stuff. And I was like, I don't know, like, can we dibble into the trip money a little bit and like do something there? And yeah, and then the other person before me, technically was before me, didn't want it because it didn't have AC in it. And I was like, "Oh, you
Wow.
don't really deserve, like, not that you don't deserve a car, but like you really don't know what you're looking into then if you a
Yeah.
69 Austin Mini with no AC with sliding windows, not the car really you're gonna want probably." But yeah, we scraped up the money and pretty much, yeah, took it out of the trip fund that moment and plopped it down and went out the next day and picked it up and drove it home, and that was it. 4 or 5 years ago now, I think. And yeah, that's how I found him. Just really to my wife on Facebook Marketplace and giving me the itch to go ahead and give me the okay.
It's isn't
Basically.
it crazy? I was talking to somebody before that in regards to, it, you don't necessarily when you're looking for something, you can't find it, but
Yeah,
the time just comes to you. And minis, I feel like everyone that I know that has got their mini and they've always wanted one, it just kind of pops up and it's like you jump on it
you
like
got to jump
within a
on it.
day.
Yeah. Yeah, it just feels right. It's just the connection of it just felt right that like he had to get it kind of that day. Whereas like on the opposite side, my dad has a MX-5 convertible,
Uh huh.
and he searched for that for 3, 4, 5 months. Had a couple lined up, test drove a few, and it was like he landed on a nice one now. But like I don't know. I wasn't holding out. I've seen this one. I was like, yeah, this has the line. This has to work. This has to happen, kind of thing. And high and hell and high water, it happened, and took a bit of money from the trip, but that's okay. Still had a decent trip, so it was all right. But
It's only money.
yeah, it comes and goes. I've learned that pretty quick.
Yeah, it's cool too that there's so many that are just like hiding around the corner from you. You just
Oh,
have no idea.
you have no
I
idea what's in people's garages tucked
mm-mm.
away through the years and stuff. Like, I mean, 10 years stuck in someone's garage to finally come out and live his life kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, and his promise was, if you're going to buy it, please drive it. And I was like, no worries, I will drive it.
no
No worries.
problem.
Yeah.
That's funny. Mine, kind of, similar. It just kind of randomly popped up on Craigslist, I think it was, and I was in Hawaii, and there's not that
That's
many.
the trip we were going to, was
Oh
Hawaii,
yeah,
actually. Yeah, that's kind of funny.
look at
Yeah.
that. You could have found mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it actually was about 6 years ago
There you go.
or
Yeah.
something like that, right around the same time. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely wasn't drivable, but it was still one of the things. Like I had no expectations of ever finding one in Hawaii, and it just kind of
Yeah.
popped up, and had to do it. You
The
know.
thing I find with minis too, like they pop up because they're so small, the store, that people have them and they just stick them in the back like it is like a ATV or something, like just taking up a bit of room and just pile stuff around it. And you don't even know they're out there and they just randomly pop up because they're so easy to store in random places that
Yeah.
compared to your Lincoln or your Cadillac that are
Yeah, yeah,
18,
yeah.
19 feet, they're kind of hard to hide. But one of those is you can tuck them anywhere and you don't even realize what's hiding out there, really.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm turning into one of those guys, just minis stuck in my garage, just sitting there. But we're getting it. We'll get them back on the road.
Yeah, that's the whole
It'll
fun of it.
happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll happen. You mentioned your dad was searching for an MX-5. Is he into cars? Was he always into cars, or?
He was when he was younger, like in his early teens and stuff. When he first got his license, he told me a few cars that he had throughout his time, and smoking tires, and getting in trouble and stuff like that.
Right.
His buddy's dad owned a original Model T,
Oh,
back in the
cool.
day, and they used to. This is bad, shocking, really, but they used to steal it and take it into the backcountry road and basically like half tear the living crap out of it, basically. He's like, looking back now, I don't know why we did that or why we even survived to do that. He said because that's sinful nowadays when you look at it, but it still survives. It's still in his buddy's garage and it still runs and everything. The old original Model T, which is pretty cool.
That's
But
incredible.
yeah, Dad actually had a Austin Mini as well back in the 70s, he thinks 75 ish range. Um, and it's his biggest regret that he ever did was sell it. He was only a young guy, and he sold it for $300 because it
Oh,
needed a $250 brake job.
oh,
So as a young guy with like real no money or anything, and just not really thinking, he sold it for $300, and because he needed $250 to spend into it, so he made a $50 profit off it instead. So he was like, "That's my biggest regret that I've had is selling that car because I used to love it and it was so cheap to keep and run." And his brother at the time had a Datsun 280, I think it was, and needed the
uh-huh.
same thing, but his brother kept it, and he still has that car now. So it's a bit awkward kind of thing, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, he wasn't always fully into cars, but he like really appreciated them and enjoyed them, and he always wanted a two-seater convertible kind of thing, and
Right.
he was gonna go with an MG midget convertible kind of thing, but just good old British, engineering, not probably the best for someone who just wants to cruise around and enjoy his time. So I was like,
Yeah.
you probably should look into the Mazda side of things for a little bit more reliability. And unless you want to be tinkering a nice bit, I wouldn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's funny. My dad was similar. He was into cars, but not
yeah,
in terms of knowing anything about them other than wanting to drive them and stuff like that. And
yeah.
he's got a 1990 Porsche Carrera,
Ooh,
and
okay.
it's awesome. But now it's getting to that age where either, I mean, I don't think too many people mess with their Porsches. I think they they take them to the mechanic,
Yeah, yeah,
but little things you could probably do. But it's like he's like on that fence, like, man, I
yeah,
love the car, I want to drive it, but
yeah.
things are
That's how
starting to
I
fall apart. They're
That's
old.
how I feel about Norris sometimes. It's like it's old, it's British. Yeah, parts are pretty easy to find for classic minis at least. Shipping to where I am sucks. It's almost double the cost of what a part would be.
Ugh.
Yeah, so like that really deters a lot of stuff on it. That's why a lot of upgrades haven't been done to Norris yet because it's just cost of shipping it here would it just really hurts the bank. But yeah, it. I feel the same way. It's like I drive it. I'm always going out, and I'm like, is today going to be the day that it's going to become a brick? Like, and then like kind of a thing. But I keep saying that, but he runs like a top and like purrs like crazy, and he just loves going for drives. So I should put more faith in it, but I guess just that fear is there.
Yeah, a lot of people really rag on, all British cars, but minis and like, oh, it's gonna break, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that do break, but
Oh
some of
yeah.
them are
I mean,
pretty easy. Like, man, I just rebuilt my engine last year, and I drove that car hard, like hard redlining canyon runs
yeah.
ever since I got it going. So probably like three years or so, because it took me a couple to get it going.
Mm.
3 years or so hard, and it always had this slight rattle in it, and I couldn't figure it out. And finally, I was just like, dude, I think it's the bearing. And it turns out the bearings were dusted. They were ruined. So but it never let me down. It
No,
never exploded, like nothing.
that's like that. It's like bulletproof. It feels like it just when I think it's going, it's like actually I'll do it again kind of thing. And it was at one point like last year, year before, if I hit anywhere close to 60, 70 kilometers an hour, it would like just dip power in third or fourth. Like it would just spit and sputter and like start like really. I'm like, oh, like this sounds pretty major. It's the air filter. Just wanted a little cleaning, new pistons, and it was like, anyways, I'm good again now. Like let's keep going. I was like, so yeah, it was. It just keeps coming back. It just wants to keep fighting. Every mini, I feel like, just wants to keep fighting and keep driving. Like,
Yeah.
people razz on it, like you said, but yeah.
It's a solid little engine as long as it's like pretty stock, and there's
Yep.
not, they run strong.
And you know its
personally.
limitations, and you're good to go. Like,
Exactly. Just stay
yeah.
on top of the oil changes
Yep.
and cleaning the air filter, and you're pretty freaking solid in my
Yeah.
opinion, in my experience at least.
And top up the oil in Norris's case because he does like to leave his mark wherever he goes, but that's fine.
It happens to the
Just
best
mini
of
things.
us. Yeah, it happens to the best of us, man. I know.
Yeah.
And it's funny too because mine had a leak out of somewhere. I could never really find it, and then one day it just stopped leaking, but it still had oil. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'm
It
looking
plugged
now at my
itself.
garage floor, just oil stains everywhere, and I'm just like, I'm never going to be able to find it. It's been doing it. I thought I found it, and then somewhere else popped up, and I thought I found that one, and I've just given up at this point. Just keep checking the oil to make sure it has enough, and call it a day.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for
Yeah.
it. Let's jump into, I think you mentioned it, Norris. Sorry,
Yeah.
that was another episode. Sorry.
Yeah.
Norris
Yeah.
is a '69 Mark II. Is it what
Yep.
engine's in it?
The 850.
Oh.
It's the last year of the 850, as far as I know. So a little bit lacking on power, but solid, solid unit so far. I do wish it had a little bit more power because around here people do drive quite fast. The roads are pretty long and open, so people like speed. And Norris can't do speed. He'll get up there. It's just like it's long, and if I have an extra
Eventually.
person or an extra person in the back, it's like, oh, yeah, I feel it, kind of thing. But yeah, it has 850cc, and it's been solid for me so far. I want to swap it, but like, yeah, I do like it. Yeah, and it's rare. It's
Yeah.
different.
I agree. I think it's a cool little engine, and like I said, I think they're reliable. And once you kind of start getting into swaps and pulling things out, then it just rabbit holes.
Yeah, it
It's
goes quick, and then like I'm enjoying it now. So my mentality is like enjoy it until something happens, and then I'll look into either fixing that or do I replace it then, basically.
Yeah,
But for
like I
now,
said, I rebuilt my engine. When I pulled it out, the gearbox was fine, everything was fine. I redid the brake lines while it was out, so it was just easier.
yeah,
Then the brake master and the clutch master gave out, and they started leaking, so I had to replace that. Then I was dealing with brake issues, and then I put the engine back in. It was all good. And then the gearbox went out, so I was like, "Son of a bitch!" Now I got to pull it back. Now I'm dealing with the gearbox, so it's a year later,
yeah.
and it was, so it's like, if you can handle just leaving it
Leaving
in
it
and
as it is. That's
driving
why I'm like it's working fine. Nothing's happening. It's happy. So why tinker with anything that's more than just maintenance with it right now, and just let it be happy and enjoy it as it is, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, it was just to the point where I could drive the shit out of it, but that rattle, that like, at a
Yeah.
certain RPM, I was like, God, this can't be good. Like I
Yeah.
just
It's just
at a
waiting
certain
for
point,
it.
I
Yeah.
was just like, oh man, I got to do it, and I wanted to
Yeah,
take
you're
it
waiting
on
for the
this.
rattle to become a kaplunk or something like that instead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't want it, and the way
Yeah.
I drove it, but I drove it for a long time, but yeah, it's just been never ending since I pulled it out, and man, I miss driving. I just want to get it back in. So hopefully in the next few months I'll get the gearbox and everything kind of popped in there, and then
Yeah.
everything should be pretty new in the up front. Then.
And then there's something else to go because it's, that's just the way it goes. And
Don't
that's why we
say
love
that.
minis. I know,
Don't
I'm
say
sorry.
that.
I'm
That's what I'm
sorry.
saying, though. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
I've replaced everything up front, and yeah,
yeah,
there's nothing major that will stop me from driving. I think.
yeah. I forget
Knock on
the
wood.
name now. I was talking to somebody over in the UK on Norris's page, and they did a full rebuild too. And my speedo doesn't work. I've tried to fix it a couple times, and I just given up at this point. The speedo's just he can't go fast enough for me to get a speeding ticket. And if I ever do get a speeding ticket in it, I will frame it up in the garage because like, come on, like 40 horsepower at most, and I got a speeding ticket, I'll take it. But yeah, I was talking to somebody, and they did a full rebuild, full gut, all brand new, and their speedo also doesn't work now. And I'm like, so even if I did replace it new, I mean, it's probably gonna go, so it doesn't matter if I fix it now in the old, so it's all good. There's always a little quirk to it.
Yeah, you can use your like cell phone as like a the
I've done that,
speedometer.
yeah, and that, and as long as there's a car ahead of me that's I can see pulling away, I'm fine. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's bad advice, but this advice.
So it's a '69 Mark II 850.
Yeah.
Does it have a magic wand in it, or is it a
Um,
rod change?
honestly, I don't know because I haven't really looked again because
Is it like coming out from the? Let me see if I can see a
it's
picture.
coming out from the
Just like
floor-ish area, stocked up. And also, I'm not sure if it's 100% original because the guy I bought it off in Hollywood said it did go through an like Hollywood, I say, as if you know where that is, but in the community, he did say it went through a restoration before it came to Canada in the early like 2000s, and he's not
huh?
sure what they did to it
Yeah.
because it wasn't fully documented. But it's pretty much original to that Mark II at the time, UK based, because I got the paperwork when it was sold in the UK back in the day, which is pretty cool.
I love it. I love the look of it. I love the what color? Do you know what color it is?
Yeah, El Paso beige, I think is what they call it
El
in this
Paso
in the
beige.
'69. Yeah, from what I can look up, it's El Paso beige. It's the
The
closest
great
to it.
colors, very classic looking. The
Yeah,
interior color, and then the engine, the green engine. It's such a great mini.
yeah,
If
it comes together. He has some like quirks to him. I hopefully next year, my uncle's gonna move back to Newfoundland here, and he's an automotive painter. So I'm
oh,
hoping
cool.
so I'm hoping he can come down, make a little spray booth somewhere, and just give it a nice cleanup. Although a lot of people do like the roughness of Norris as he is. I personally can take it or leave it. I'd rather it to be nice, clean, and polished.
Yeah,
Mainly because it's not any patina. It's mostly just like that body clay rubber. Whoever
yeah,
did that last time, and they didn't sand it down. They did nothing, so it's right rough and rubbery, and just it just doesn't look good. In pictures, it looks fine, but if you went up and touched it, it's like, oh, like, do you take any
yeah,
pride in your car, kind of thing? I'm like, yeah, I do, but it's not mine. It wasn't my work. It's I inherited it, kind of thing, right?
yeah.
But
I get you on that. Yeah,
yeah,
it's such a struggle. Like mine, people like, oh, I like the patina, but like realistically, it's just like a primered panel. Like,
yeah, I
it's
know,
just like,
yeah, right. It's like,
it's like
it's
whatever the.
yeah, for the right person, sure, but for me, like like it to be like nice and polished, clean, original kind of thing. And we'll get there eventually, but yeah, I'm hoping he can do it because it'll be cheaper.
Yeah, for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, mine now it looks patinaed because it's kind of just gone through its paces, but it's like it
yeah,
wasn't. I wasn't shooting for that. I definitely wanted to paint it, and
yeah.
but it works now. It works now.
Yeah,
So
it can all be done in time. That's how I look at it. All in time. There's no rush.
ex-
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
That's fun. Any like plans for any upgrades besides
yeah.
that? You
Um,
outs just like
plans
cosmetic
really.
things rather.
Yeah, a few cosmetic things. I ripped out the original carpet because it was literally original. Newfoundland's a very damp, s- like climate anyway, so you can imagine what 50-plus-year-old carpet smelt and felt like in there. So we ripped that up and replaced that. But yeah, no, I like the leather as it is. There's a few rips here and there, but like I don't mind that as long as they don't spread, and then I'll get them replaced eventually. There's a door card inside I really need to replace because no matter what I do, it keeps falling out and down. Engine wise, I've been looking at the Mini Sport Stage 1 kit for the 850, which is just new exhaust, air filter, um, I hopefully might get the carburetor cleaned. Hopefully this year, maybe next year. I do have someone lined up that can look at it at least. Um, but beyond that, not really. Me and Dad was here today, and we were looking at it, and we're like, do we get the fiberglass wheel arches instead of the plastic cheap ones that are just stuck on there for now? But they almost stick out too far for my liking. The one from Mini Sports and stuff like that, they're almost like too racer like. And again, it's only an 850cc engine, so like I don't want to make it souped up to like too
Yeah,
crazy, and then
yeah.
all of a sudden like I don't have the backing to really prove that I have the speed on it, kind of a thing. But no, I my plan really is just to keep it as original as possible for as long as it can be original, really. But yeah, that's pretty much it
I
for
think
upgrade.
you could get the Group 2 Narrows.
Yeah.
I think they don't stick out much further. Maybe the little lip on the
Yeah, yeah.
end,
I
but
don't mind like a little bit bigger than what they are now. Like literally, I just got those because they were cheap, easy to get here, easy to put
yeah,
on, and the wheels were already stuck out over the bodywork, so it looked like it was like an
yeah,
off-road kind of
yeah.
monster. But yeah, like the big ones that I've seen so far that some people have on like they look fantastic. The big flares and stuff, they look great.
Right.
But like on this, it just I think it would kill
Yeah.
the classic look a
I
little bit too
think the
much.
group. Yeah, I think if you wanted to change them, the Group 2
Mm,
Narrows would look good.
okay.
Kind of like what I have on mine. I think they're about because I had your arches first,
Yeah.
and I didn't end up putting them on, and they were about the same, like poke or whatever you
Yeah.
want to say,
Gotcha.
width
Yeah.
out. So
Yeah,
I
they need to
do.
be replaced because like I put those on, and the first drive I had out, there, this one right here on the far side is already cracked on the driver's side.
Oh.
Yeah, went over one little bump and smack and crack, and it's been like it ever since. So I was like, well, fantastic, just got
It
him.
hap- it
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
So you don't want to try to clean the carb yourself?
Like me and Dad has done everything with it so far. Like we've done all the stuff on it. But if I can find some people who has a little bit more experience in the say the mechanical side of things,
Uh huh.
I'll definitely take their expertise. There's actually a guy I found out because I only moved to this house just over a year ago, and there's a guy a couple houses down. And last summer I noticed he has about 4 or 5 classic cars just in his driveway, all like beautifully restored. And apparently he's really mechanically inclined. He has a lift and everything over in his garage, so I'm gonna
Oh,
try to make
cool.
friends with him and see how he can help me out a little bit. So
Yeah,
yeah, so in the community, people kind of stick together no matter what you kind of drive. So, but yeah, if I can
definitely.
have some support in the mechanical side of things, I'll take it because again, like I said, I'm learning.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't want to mess it up
Yeah.
too much.
Yeah, well, the carb, I'm biased because
Mm,
for whatever reason, I love rebuilding carbs.
yeah,
You take it apart and you look at it, you're like, oh shit, like, but it,
yeah,
it all
that's
kind
how
of,
I've been so far.
it
Yeah,
pretty much all goes back together in one spot. And if I remember correctly, the SU rebuild kit comes with like pretty good instructions with pictures and stuff, and just and
it's
it
it's
was,
just it's the leap for me really. It's like I could
yeah,
probably do it. I'm pretty hands on. I'm pretty like
yeah,
crafty and stuff. It's just like the taking the leap to actually do it is the scary part for me. But I
oh yeah.
guaranteed I probably could do it. It's just like, uh,
I
what
get
if I
you.
mess it
I
up?
No, don't. I'm no pressure. I always I try to encourage people to do as much as they can because
Yeah.
I think the Mini is a perfect platform to learn
Oh,
on.
easily. Like,
And
and especially when you open the bonnet there and you can see everything and you can see how everything works. It's like it makes
yeah,
sense. Like you can kind of feel the confidence compared to if you open up well, even Dad's MX-5. You open that up from the '90s and it's like okay,
yeah,
there's a
yeah,
lot going on here, like kind of thing,
yeah.
right?
Oh
Right.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. It's like one. I always say, excuse me.
Mm.
Majority of the stuff on the Mini is easy to do.
Oh yeah.
It's just some of it's a pain in the ass to do. So it's
Yeah.
like some of it's easier to just hand off to people, but
Yeah, definitely.
majority
And
of
like
it's
the other thing with Norris is that he is positive Earth, so he's opposite for anything electronic wise. Even though like there's not like
yeah,
a lot of electronics, but I've tried to do a few electronic things on it, and either fried the thing I was putting in, or totally it just never worked. And it's even though it was advertised to be opposite poles and all this, it just yeah, it just never worked out for me, kind of thing, which is really weird.
yeah.
So that's kind of an annoying thing, and switch that over potentially. Eventually, I probably will, just to make it a little bit
Right.
more user friendly.
Yeah, I have no idea anything about the positive Earth stuff. Like, I keep meaning to like look, but I just never.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, don't try to jump one from a normal car because I tried that already, and sparks went flying everywhere, and I was like, "Oh, fantastic!" Even though I thought I had it arranged correctly, and Google tried to help me, so we ended up just taking the battery out and charging the battery and then putting it back in. It was just way easier than trying to
Yikes!
jump it. Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yikes. Yeah, yeah, I don't want to mess with it. I don't know if my, well, it doesn't really matter anyway, I guess, because my S, if it was positive Earth, which I'm not sure if it is or not, doesn't have a wiring harness anyway, so I'm
Oh,
starting
yeah.
from scratch.
Yeah. Oh, it's easy to tell with Norris because literally you look at the battery and it's just the positive wire is just going right to the subframe. That's it. I'm like, oh, fantastic. So, yeah,
Wow.
which is really confusing, but yeah.
Yeah, I want to look
Yeah.
into that again now.
Yeah, I got like
Just
some of the old books and manuals, and when you're looking at like the diagrams and stuff for electrical, I'm just trying to follow the wiring and stuff. I'm like, this makes absolutely no sense. How? Because I did before I did marketing and all that, I did engineering side of things, and
Oh,
like
cool.
watching, yeah. So looking at those diagrams, I'm just like, from what I've been taught, is like this makes no sense because it's
No,
all backwards and like it shouldn't work this way, but okay, sure, like kind of thing.
right.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So
You
yeah,
said
so that's the fun.
Norris. I think you said it came from America or no?
No, it came from the UK.
Oh, it came from the UK.
Originally bought UK, and then in the early 2000s, it went to Calgary, Canada, and got
Okay.
converted from left to right hand drive, kind of thing, or right to left, and got some work done on it, but they didn't really document it too well what was done on it. He had like a few sheets of paper what they did. They must have did like a rebuild, a bit of subframe stuff, stuff like that, brakes, but. Then he bought it there in Calgary and shipped it back here to Newfoundland, and I guess kept it in his garage for 10 years. So yeah, yeah.
Is that something that you have to do in Canada? Is switch it to left-hand drive or?
No, if it's older than 25 years, you're okay to keep it. I think they just did it because where minis are so small and stuff in Canada, like in America, like trucks and SUVs are so big. I think it was just a safety thing that they just felt more comfortable. I know I
Yeah.
would if I was driving on the other side here in this province, like I'd be like
Yeah.
half scared to be driving around with all the big 250s and 350 trucks going around here. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
they can't even see me as it is, so let alone me not being able to see them properly around a turn or something might just be sketchy kind of thing. But yeah,
Yeah,
you
no.
can have them. There's a few cars going around here, especially JDM import stuff. That's still the same way. Because they're probably a little bit more harder to switch over than classic Mini, where you can see the whole steering rack and everything. It's pretty easy, but
Yeah.
compared to doing it on a Nissan or something like that, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, whoever had mine prior to me also did the same thing for whatever reason, but
Yeah.
I've driven a couple right-hand drives here, but only on like street roads, no, not on highways. I can
Yeah,
definitely imagine on a highway it would be kind of sketchy
it's
and
just sketchy. And then plus, like, I'd be opposite, I feel like. So my left hand would just be weird to shift, and it would take me a while to get used to, I think.
yeah.
But apparently
Yeah,
it's
not
easy, people say, but, like, I don't know.
Yeah, you would get it really fast. It's
Yeah,
only you got to think about it like a second longer, just
yeah,
you
for
know, with
sure.
your left hand. But the feet are the same, everything else is the
Yeah,
same. So
and when
that's
they did convert Norris, I gotta admit, like they didn't do the best job because I sit like this, but my legs are over this way a little bit more, so they're more towards the center more than anything. So you're kind of on a twist when you're driving it, but
I think
it
that's
worked.
just a mini thing.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, probably just a mini thing. Yeah, so you're kind of on a twist, but at least you got lots of room in there to move around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah,
funny. I think that's slightly a mini thing. I guess it depends on where they put the steering wheel as well. But I think the
yeah.
pedals are kind of like
Always gonna be like that.
inboard a little bit.
There's no other minis here for me to try out, so I just have to go with what I think is normal on it, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mine's slightly like that, but I have seen some people that their like steering columns kind of a little more crooked than
Yeah.
offset from the pedals than it should be, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
It's a little
man.
quirk. That's all.
So how's the driving season there? And obviously it's probably there's a winter season up
Yeah, it's
where
a
you are.
strong winter season. So Norris only really came out of storage 2 weeks ago, and now I'll have until end of September, early October maybe to drive. Now, mind you, we do get a lot of rain, a lot of wind. We call it Mozzie weather here.
Mozzie.
Mozzie, yeah. So Mozzie is rain, drizzle, fog, RDF.
Oh,
Here in Newfoundland, you can get every season of weather in a run of an hour, is what they say. So it's a hit or miss driving season here. If it's a nice day, you got to take it and run, and that's where I struggle with getting content for Norris's page. Is I only have a window of maybe 3 or 4 months of driving, and in that window, the days of actually nice weather is even slimmer again, kind of thing. And in the limitation of Norris can't really go too far and drive too comfortably with the lack of power that he has. Highways are kind of an issue, so try to avoid those a little bit. So to slow down traffic because everybody here likes to drive like 120 kilometers an hour or more. He certainly cannot do that unless I'm downhill with a good wind behind me. But yeah, so driving season here, like it's good, but yeah, it's pretty rough. You got to take what you get, and like today is a little bit overcast with some bit of wind, and I'm hoping now this evening to take him out for the first time this year and get some content for him at least, because it's at least a decent day before it rains.
well, man, you do a fantastic job of one filling content, but two, like, I mean, maybe it's the nice days, and you just take it everywhere and crush it, because there's just some amazing photos on your Instagram, and reels and all sorts of fun things. But
Yeah.
man, like this, I'm looking at one right now from May. Well, you posted in May. So
Yeah,
obviously,
that
that
could have
was
been
last
taken
year.
in 2019 for all I know, because I just bank all the content and repost and post it later. And there's a lot
But
of stuff I
it's
haven't never posted yet, kind of
yeah,
thing.
and
Yeah,
that's that's kind of, if you're
that's
trying
yeah.
to do it, like, it's like you're by like a lake or something. It looks like there's a
Oh,
kayak in the
yeah, yeah,
background
yeah,
or a
yeah. So that's
sunset.
actually the first night ever I took Norris out with my camera.
Really?
I had him for about 6 to 8 months before that, and never even thought about taking pictures of him with a camera. Like, never even crossed my mind. I just wanted to drive it and stuff. And my buddy was like, "Why don't you take some pictures and start like a little Instagram page for your adventures with
Yeah.
him?" And I was like, I mean, I can as a little personal project, because I was doing a lot of other work on the side. Never really had a personal project of mine for photo video, which is really important to keep your interests and creativity alive. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So that night was the first night I took him out with the camera and shot some photos, and it just worked out really well. I rolled up across that lake with the buddy in the kayak going around. And I was like, oh, this
Man,
is nice. Yeah,
epic picture. I
yeah,
absolutely love it. And like, I think I scrolled back when I was kind of prepping for this, and it looked like you started your Norris's page in like 2020. So you haven't been doing his page for very long.
no, yeah.
Um, but man, there's some fantastic pictures. When I first saw it, it was like an immediate follow, just because it's just, you know, as humans nowadays, we all just want to consume,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
you do
yeah.
such a great job of putting out content, amazing photos, and I that's what I love. That's Instagram's going towards reels, I think, and
Yeah,
that kind
for
of
sure.
stuff.
That's where my grow. Like, people keep asking me, like, how are you growing so much? I'm like, honestly, it's just continuous posting. Like, I post once, if not twice a day.
Yep.
Well, once a day, but once every 2 days. I try to, and consistently over every those 3 4 years I've been going at it now. And reels have just, you get lucky on a reel, and the next thing you know, it pops off, and you.
Yeah.
That's there's no secret sauce to it. It's just being consistent and being,
Consistent.
yeah, consistently posting with consistently decent quality content, and it comes in, but it's not going to be an overnight thing, that's for sure. Right?
No.
Even though I can't say that, because now people's going to look at my page and see the last like 4 or 5 days have been like 16,000, 17,000, like kind of like that. But yeah, it's
But
just
I feel like it kind of comes in waves like
oh
that.
yeah, completely. It took me 6 months to get 1,000 followers, and then the last couple days I've had 3 or 4 thousand new ones from 1 or 2 reels that I had that popped off.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
social media. I just do it for fun. I do it for the community and like connecting people, and I love talking to other people around, like yourself and other people around the world about minis and everything else. And there's a big community out there, and I just like bringing everybody together, and with the small car that I never thought would really pull that much weight and that much following when I started the page, that's for sure. And I'll be honest, the con has gotten a little bit pressure now. It's like when I take the car out just to go for a drive, I always got to have the camera with me. I'm like
Yeah.
thinking content all the time. I only got a small window. I got to think content. Uh,
Yeah.
it's a blessing and a curse now, kind of a thing, but it is what it is. Yeah.
That's funny, but I mean, it's, you know, I feel like it's for me, I did the same thing. It's like, oh man, I haven't posted anything. I don't have anything anymore because my engine's out and this and
Yeah.
that. But I kind of enjoy taking pictures of the Mini. Like I
Yeah.
started it to kind of just track my progress of me rebuilding it, and then when you drive, you just find a location. And I
Yeah.
asked somebody that actually really inspired me to start this podcast, and just because I love their content, is the guys from Overcrest podcast. If you ever listen to
Yep.
them,
Yep. I heard of them. Yeah.
Chris Cluwell, and I was talking to him the other day. I was just like, "Do you have an?" You know, he takes the car everywhere, and I was like, "Do you have an idea when you're going out, or you just spots kind of find you?" And it's the spots kind of find you, and
Literally. Yeah.
you know, I drive. It's pretty easy around me at least to go in a canyon in sunset and just get
Yeah. I
an epic
wish.
view.
Not here, but I wish. Yeah. We have
Not,
like no nice driving roads here, really. But
but it
yeah.
looks like there's some cool areas though. That's
Yeah.
the thing,
Like
because you're like by the pier and you're by
yeah,
some
Newfoundland is
water.
the landscape here and the scenery is like some of the best I gotta admit in the world that you see. It's like
Yeah, it's
such a
beautiful.
broad range of things and small community fishing communities.
Yeah.
It's just a mix of history and ruggedness and stuff like that. And a lot of films are now coming here to film stuff that looks like Ireland and stuff like that because we have the landscape of that. And it's cheaper to come here than it is anywhere else. So the other day, I was in a spot doing something for work in an outport community and rolled along this group of old trucks that were just in a parking lot, and they were all like beautifully restored, like 50s, 40s, 50s trucks. And my buddy wanted to hop out and take a quick picture. And next thing we know, we're on a film set for Ben Stiller's new movie because he's apparently here. We
Oh, look
didn't
at
had
that.
no idea because it looked the scenery that they were going for looked like that. And we're like, oh, had no idea kind of a thing. So the scenery and the landscape here, it makes it easy to take photos if you can find the spot. And usually when I go out for a drive, I'll plan a route and go to one spot I might seen on Google Maps, and then before I even get there, I got 5 other locations already shot and memory card out full, and I'm like, oh well, that didn't work out too well,
Yeah.
but yeah, right. So
Yeah, I mean, there's like this one picture. I mean, although the caption does say just a dead end, but it looks like a small little back, like kind of private road with like
yeah,
evergreen trees on the either side. It's just like
yeah,
there's a lot
I
of
was
cool different pictures like
yeah.
that.
So I
You know?
found that one on. I know exactly what one you're talking about because that was supposed to lead up to a really old house that's like half run down, and you could like almost park inside the house.
Yeah.
And Mini being so small, I put them in spots that's a little bit sketchy.
Right.
But yeah, they put the cement blocks there. I was like, well, that's just a dead end now, I guess. So still worked
Damn.
out, but it looked pretty good. And yeah, it's all about the angles and stuff. And this year, hopefully for content, I'm hoping to do a little bit more like content based on here's how you take photos, here's how I edit, here's how I look for angles and locations and stuff, just to
Yeah.
help other people build their pages as well, and to show them that like it's not hard to get content and be consistent with it. It's just going for a drive. I can come back with a month's worth of content.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
just being consistent with it, basically.
You know, I've always been into photography since I was young. I remember always wanting a camera, and I
Yeah,
just never knew what to take pictures of. And I would like try to do like street photography. I'm like, I just didn't like it, you know?
yeah,
But ever since I got my Mini, it was like so easy because it was kind of what I wanted to do, like run and gun, street photography, like nature, but
with
I
something
had a,
that you like, right?
yes, I had
Yeah,
a
yeah,
subject, and you can do like some up close pictures. And I finally like took the plunge, and I got you know, a relatively nicer camera, I guess you could
yeah,
say, like a Sony or whatever. And I was having fun, and I was taking tons of pictures, and they were turning out really good for, you know, the lenses I had, which were,
yeah.
you know, just very entry. But it was better than the iPhone, which also takes.
Nowadays, I'm not gonna lie to people. Like 90% of the reels you see and some photos that you see me post is from my iPhone.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
the
they
right
take
lighting with a
fantastic.
quick editing, you can
Yeah.
fool a lot of people with iPhones nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Right? Yeah.
100%. But I found though when I had my actual, ended up selling the camera because I needed money for car parts. But
Fair enough. Yeah, that's what we do.
you know,
Yeah.
and but I found that I took way more pictures when I actually had my camera versus my
Yeah.
cell phone for some reason. And
It just feels like you're doing more of a hobby than just like doing
yeah,
stuff for social media when you got your phone, I feel like.
yeah,
Which is a double-edged sword, really, because cell phone content seems to be doing better on the back end of Reels and TikTok. And when you shoot it with your phone, they somehow know you did that and what else. And
Yeah,
that kind of pains me as someone who likes photo and video and editing and cinematic looks and stuff like that. So it kind of
same.
stuck. Here I am set up with my Sony A7C into my laptop with a mic and lighting
Yeah.
here. I got like a little light and everything like brought out in the shed because it's what I like to do. I can't just have a webcam on and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
no, it looks great. Yeah,
it's a
no, I
struggle
do.
I go with.
I use my iPhone with
Yeah,
an app that has like kind of the
the
blurred
blur, yeah.
background or with
Yeah,
a
yeah.
tripod, and then I got the mic. But yeah, I'm the same. And I always like complain to my wife, and I'm like, man, I would put so much effort into this picture. Like I like photography and like the angle and the editing of it, with Lightroom or whatever, and you post it, and then somebody posts like some grainy piece of shit picture of something stupid and it gets a million likes. I'm like, what the like?
Yeah.
No one has any good taste around here
Yeah,
anymore. It's
I
like
know.
it's
And
like
I
might
do
as
the
well
same
just post
thing.
stupid real. Yeah.
Yeah, you literally, I'm the same way. I can spend hours like shooting this really cinematic and clean sweeping transitions and stuff of Norris and spend hours editing this nice reel for 30 seconds. I'm like, wow, this is great. And it gets like 100 likes. I'm like, cool. And then there's just a video of me with my cell phone walking out of work the other day that got 760,000 views on it now. And I'm like, cool. I wasn't even going to shoot that because that just seems so stupid for me to do. And I was like,
Yeah.
great. Like, it's such a struggle for creative people who like to like do that little extra. And it's like, you don't get rewarded anymore for it. I'm like, I'll just do the cell phone stuff now, I guess, and just pain
Yeah.
through it, I guess, is the best I can do kind of thing.
That's
But
fun.
yeah, yeah.
Oh man,
The
that's
days of
funny.
like cinematic YouTube channel growing is like long behind us, sadly. It's more of just anyone can be a creative now if you just shoot the right content.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh well.
yeah.
It's the yeah. Well, I'll keep following you for the great content, and I'll
There you
like it
go.
for you because
Regardless if it's from a phone or a high-end
I
camera, I guess. Yeah.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So you do automotive photography, or is that like your main gig or side job,
Yeah,
or no?
yeah. That's my main gig. It was more of a automotive photography content strategist kind of role. Now I've moved companies to a different spot, and now I'm marketing manager for that group of automotive stuff. Still do some photos and video stuff on the side for that. But yeah, so every day I'm out shooting content of cars basically, or doing some kind of car related marketing stuff like that. And a lot of stuff I take from Norris's page I bring into work, so it kind of works both ways. And some stuff I do at work
Yeah.
I bring into Norris's page, so it works out kind of nice for me. And like I just got back from a 2,000 kilometer long road trip with the new Hyundai Onyx 6. We drove
Uh-huh.
around and did tried to find the best iconic photo of the Onyx 6 in a scenic Newfoundland background was the whole theme. So we shot like I think well over 3,000 photos of the car across Newfoundland, basically. So
Wow.
yeah, you can say automotive photography is definitely in my wheelhouse pretty much all the time. If it's not shooting that car, it's shooting another car somewhere else, kind of thing. Yeah,
I like when you kind of bring in the new modern stuff. Like you recently posted the modern Mini versus the
yeah,
classic Mini, and you're kind of doing the little comparisons. And
yeah,
it's like people hate on the modern Mini often, and by no means do I think it's better than the classic. But like your comparison, you were like doing the
yeah.
toggle switches, and there's a center bin. There used to be a center binnacle,
Yeah, it
and
used to
like
be. Yeah,
there's a
now it's
lot
the
of things
screen.
that are very
It's
similar,
it's
and they
very
just don't.
similar. Like they got the history there, which you got to appreciate for like some cars
Yeah.
nowadays coming out with the old nameplates that don't have the history there. They just are using the nameplate. Mini has
Right.
still been pretty true that if you hop in a Mini now and a Mini like this, you see the history there. You see the resemblance, which I really like. Obviously, it's a modern car. It's going to feel different. It's going to drive different.
Right.
You got to put the safety stuff in it so it's not as small as it once was. Like they can't get around that kind of thing. But
Right.
yeah, like the history of like classic to old, like you can tell it's still a Mini, which is
Right.
what I really like, no matter if it's
And
new or
even
old.
like the like the arches you have are very similar to the arches like that are on the
Yeah,
new Minute. Like they're like
like
what I mean? Like
it's
they
pretty
did it
similar.
pretty.
I was like, okay, and
You
like the
could find a
toggles
lot of
really got
stuff.
me. I was like, okay, this is a toggle, that's a toggle. This is like you don't see toggles in new cars anymore. It's all push button
No.
or passive
Yeah.
touch, and I'm like, nice touch, little touch.
I think
Yeah,
I think they did a
right.
good job, and it at least it sparks the emotion for people that don't know anything about cars
Yeah,
that the classic sparks for people, right? Like
yeah,
it
and
people like, oh, mini, I love minis, blah 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 blah,
yeah,
and then they're
Mini is its
talking about the
own
new
thing.
Mini, but it's
Yeah.
yeah. So
Driving a Mini or owning a Mini should be its own thing and its own weird quirkiness, no matter if it's old or new. And I think the new ones still do a decent job of being, because I've been in many cars now through my career now, shooting them and stuff like that from all brands, and getting in
right,
a Mini is different than anything else.
yeah,
Like, and
it
that's what
is
that's what it should be about. Is you drive a Mini, people look at it and be like, "Oh, that's a Mini." Like, that's cool. You're different. You're a little bit quirky on the road, kind of thing. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much
for
it,
sure.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Devin,
So,
you got any other projects coming up that you want the people to know, or what?
um, not real project wise, just a lot more content this year. I'm gonna try to focus more on this face interaction stuff with myself and Norris instead of just the car. And just project wise, try to help people, take better photos of their cars too, because I get a
Yeah.
lot of messages asking what I do and how I do it and stuff like that. And yeah, so I just seen that as an avenue to help people again grow the page. Is growing the page is always nice. It's not my main thing. I don't sit there at night just hoping I get to a certain number by no means. I just like
Right.
making that community, making that connection, and helping people out here and stuff like that. And so this year I'm going to focus hopefully on more talking interactions and just teaching people how to take cool car photos. Either you got a phone or a camera, it doesn't really matter, and show them what they can do to hopefully grow their page too. But in terms of project on Norris, as long as he don't break, he's staying status quo for this year.
Boom.
did,
I love it.
yeah, did too many house projects this year to spend any money into car parts,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. That's cool.
Yeah.
Those are fun too.
No, yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
Devin, are you ready for the Patty probe then? Or?
sure.
All right. For those that maybe their first time, Patty probe is a set of questions that was originally supposed to be rapid fire, but it always turns into some jibber jabber. But some thought provoking mini questions. And question number
Sure.
one: what is your favorite mini variant?
Oh, easy. Either Mark 1 or Mark 2, obviously.
Done.
Yeah. But I will say though, here's the like it's not one answer.
See?
The
Yeah,
yeah,
get you.
the I think it's 2007 or 2010. I call it the baseball hat backwards look. The Mini Cooper
Okay.
S Coupe is what they call it, I think.
The coupe. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind those look either. I like them. I know people don't like them at all, and they stayed around for all of 2-3 years and they ditched them. But I do like the look of those. I don't know why,
I
but
I sold minis for a few years,
yeah.
and that car is just so gross. But
I
it does
just
have some cool like
it's
features
just
to it that it doesn't.
it just to me it's like a mini weirdness. It's just again it's a mini that just kind of thought differently and was like, let's try this,
Yeah.
and it was like it didn't work, but I'll give you to it. And it's just that quirkiness that people might stop you and be like, why you drive that?
That is actually the rumor. I don't even know if it's actually true, but it was something that the guy who designed it was looking at his son with a bit backward baseball cap or something. So I
Yeah,
don't
and
know if
that's what
that's
it is.
actually
Like,
true or
yeah,
not.
but yeah, I did. There's no bad mini. They all look pretty good. It's just, yeah, that one just stands out because again, for a new age, it's just like that little weirdness that drives you a
Extra,
little bit
yeah.
extra. Yeah, I
I
like
get
weird
you.
stuff, so that's how that works. Yeah.
Favorite mini modification, either one that you've done or want to do.
Um, I really do like a VTEC swap. Like I think just I
Ooh.
do. I know it's a lot of work into it, but and I know it's not right in the mini community for some people, but like having something that looks like this with a powerhouse underneath the hood, it's just like a full sleeper build in a mini. It's just like awesome. Like if I had the resources, I would look into it for sure. I still like the classic, and I probably would keep a classic and get a donor to do it with. But
Yeah,
yeah, I do like a good VTEC. It's just
they
I don't know if
are
that's
cool.
one modification, but that is a big modification.
Hey,
Yeah.
there's no rules in the Patty Probe. I've said
Yeah,
that
so
before.
yeah, I love that, and this might be even worse. Is that like with now electric coming out, and I drive electric daily. Like the fact that you can get 300-400 horsepower probably out of an electric motor into a mini now too, through electric.
Yeah,
It's something that's kind of sleeper build in itself. I know a lot of like I still like shifting gears and the classic feel of it, but like more power in something so small, that's
I
my favorite
think
thing.
I think it was maybe a Cole from Classic Mini DIY. He's at the IMM in Italy, and I think it was him that posted on his Instagram story. There was a electric Mini, but it had a straight cut Mini gearbox on it, so you could still bang
Oh,
gear it, and it sounded. I was like, all right, I maybe
yeah,
can get behind that maybe. Like it
yeah.
sounded kind of cool.
Well, talking to Gilded Racing down in I
Yeah.
think Texas or something like that.
No, he's over by me up here,
Oh, is he? Okay.
Cali.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
yeah.
up in Southern California.
Yeah, he was
Pacifica.
talking to him the other day, and obviously they got the Acura Swap V6 monster Super Cooper, but they done a Tesla recently motor into one of them, and like the power that you get out of it. I know it's not right, but it's the modern age, and like it's just a sleeper build Mini would be awesome, no matter what way you do it. Either it's true gas or electric. I think it's just my ultimate modification, really.
Yeah,
Fast
no,
little go
it
kart.
would definitely be fun because you
Yeah.
pull up and you feel like you could race somebody with an A series, and you definitely
Yeah.
can't. So,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
oh man, let's see here. If you could have a drink, coffee, beer, tea with one mini celeb, who would it be?
Ooh. Hmm. Honestly, Cole's pretty cool. Like I talked to him a couple times, and really, who really got me into mini modifications and all that is Tom Shirk from the
Yeah,
UK with his build. Honestly, I would love to just chat with him more over tea. I don't drink coffee or don't even drink beer really. Don't like the taste of it, so to be tea for me. But yeah, I'd really just like to chat with him. He seems like an interesting guy, and he was like myself, not really fully mechanically inclined, but just
yeah.
built a beautiful rig over there. So yeah,
I
he's
still need to get Tom on the show here.
yeah, yeah, he's pretty cool.
Yeah, fun. Yeah, no, there's that's a tough question because there's
It
so
is.
many people that someone who's alive or dead or like
Yeah.
anybody, but there's so
I mean, you
many
can go with the
really
original,
interesting.
the guy who designed the whole thing would be pretty cool too, I guess. But,
Yeah,
but yeah,
that actually, I don't know if anyone's actually said that one yet. That
yeah,
would
like that
be
would be like talking to him would be
Sir
pretty.
Alec Isagonis. That would be
Yeah,
really interesting. And I think he was a definitely a gin drinker or something along
yeah.
those lines. So
So
that
I
would be
think he'd be
really
pretty
interesting to
cool.
talk to him.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Well, Devin, I appreciate you being on and having Norris as well in the background. It was a
Yeah.
pleasure. Everyone go follow him, like I said, on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah, and
Uh,
TikTok. Yeah, trying to grow that one a
Nor-
little bit.
is it same on TikTok, Norris the
It should be
Mini?
the same. Yeah, Norris the Mini. I think. Yeah.
Norris with an N as in Nancy, not Morris. I
Yeah.
made that.
Yeah, and that name come
But
from actually the original owner that I bought it off. His
oh yeah,
son, yeah, his son named it Norris when they got it way
oh
back,
cool.
and based on Coronation Street, the show, a character on it was
Okay.
Norris, and that's what they named it. And the kid, when I bought it, was like, "Can you keep the name Norris? Like, can you keep calling him that?" I'm like, "My buddy, I'll keep it Norris forever." And now it's just a name in the family. When I say Norris to all my friends and family, they're like, "Oh yeah," and it's like we're talking about a member of the family when it's just literally
Yeah.
the mini kind of thing. So yeah, that's where the name came from. I didn't pick it, but it just stuck and it works. And yeah, so it's always
I
Norris
love it.
now. Yeah,
That's fantastic.
yeah.
Well, all right, guys. Thank you for joining, and I will catch you on the next one.
Thanks for having me.